Welcome to Diligent Canine, and in this reflections video, I'm going to talk about what I think are some of the biggest mistakes that I've made as a dog trainer. This is actually a follow-up video to another reflections video on alpha rolling and the effects that has on your relationship with your dog and how you manage your dog's behavior and how your dog interacts with you and the potential physical dangers to you as well. And I say that because what I think is probably my biggest, not regret, but mistake that I made, or thing that I'm glad was a mistake, was that I ended up getting a much softer dog than what I thought I wanted when I got the dog. And what I mean by that was, when I initially adopted my dog Dean, I was looking at protection sports, Schutzhund in particular, although I later developed an interest in PSA. I wanted a tough, mean, a hard dog, but I, as a pet owner, I, as a trainer, was not anywhere prepared for that. And so I'm very thankful that I ended up getting a dog that has a very sweet and actually kind of soft temperament. His nerves are fair. He usually is kind of in the curious middle ground. So he's not fearful of new environments. He's not overly aggressive in new environments. Sometimes, depending on how overstimulating they are, it takes a little bit of encouragement, but usually he tends on the curious side. And if he is a little more reserved, it doesn't take too much to kind of like get him exploring and learning about whatever new situation I've exposed him to. Now, what I mean by softness, though, is I will admit that there have been times where I've lost my temper with my dog, and that if I had taken the approach that I always need to alpha roll my dog and be domineering and assert like physical prowess over my dog, and had gotten the harder dog that I thought I wanted, I would be pretty messed up. And by messed up, I mean physically. Like, I would have way more stitches throughout my body from getting bit, and because if I had gotten the dog that I thought I wanted and then tried to like assert my dominance over them, by nature of getting a dog that's going to be really well suited for protection and defense work, they're not going to tolerate that sort of physical bullying. They're going to fight back. That's what they're selected for. So I feel like the biggest mistake that I made as a dog trainer is losing my temper like that, and not being aware of my emotions and my mindset when I'm training my dog. So obviously this doesn't happen very often. I have a really good relationship with my dog, I think. Hopefully you guys that are watching can see that in the videos that I put out. When I'm working my dog on a scent skill, or even in bite work, or for sure during obedience, that he's very eager to engage. So I haven't like broken, I hope, my dog, or caused any irreversible relationship damage, but it's something that I'm aware of, and something that I have had to keep in check and be mindful of as I adapt as a trainer and a dog owner, is to be mindful of my own emotions. If it's a day where I am stressed out, or for whatever reason, whatever happened at work or with a friend or a family member, and I'm a little more agitated or just out of sorts that day, it doesn't have to be on the angry end of the spectrum. It could be if I'm depressed or not, just mentally not with it that day. That's not a good time to be training my dog. And what is important to remember is that when you train your dog, you are building these skills over the long run. So like, today isn't going to be necessarily the magical day where your dog suddenly gets it and lightning strikes and everything is great. Your dog learns throughout a process. So if you miss one day because you are insightful enough to recognize that you're not mentally on your A game, that's not going to break the dog. Now, you might still have to do something to manage the dog's behavior, take them for a walk or something like that, and that has been the route that I've taken to sort of adjust. When I notice that I'm trying to work my dog and he's just not getting it, or he's too distracted, either he's having an off day or I'm having an off day, for whatever reason, either or both of those are happening, I say, okay, this isn't going to work. We're not able to work today, but you still got to do something. So I put our training aids up, the sleeves away, all of that, and we should go for a walk then. We work on generalizing some behaviors. So the first thing I would try is backing the stimulation way off and resorting only to behaviors that my dog knows that they sort of fundamental obedience behaviors, things they really have down, that it's not a big deal for them to rattle off at all. So the dog can build some confidence that way. And it also lets me check if I was messing something up with that more complex behavior, or if something is really off that day. Now, something is really off that day, that's when I'll just go for a walk, or we'll just play fetch. I've said in other videos that still has huge dividends for building the relationship between you and your dog. So, keeping in mind that training a certain skill is about the long run, and keeping your own emotions in check and being aware of your own emotional state, how that affects everything you do with your dog. We have this expression in dog training that whatever you're feeling goes right down the leash to your dog. So that obviously has a lot to do with socialization and your relationship with your dog. So you've got to be aware of those things, and you've also got to be aware of the things that alter your mood, whether you're ingesting a drug like caffeine or perhaps alcohol. You've got to know how those things affect you, how they affect maybe your temper or your mental clarity, your focus, and pay attention to how those affect your relationship with your dog. It could be that they don't have any ill effects at all, but you need to be on the lookout in case they do. So I might tag some other trainers in here that I respect enough to think that they'll give an honest answer as well on some of the mistakes they've made. But for me, my 2 cents is that my biggest mistake is not paying attention to my own emotions and how they affect my dog's training. So whether that is irritability or my own ego and expectations after I've started to have some progress in a particular skill, and then the dog has an off day or I have an off day, not being able to adjust accordingly to that. So as always, thank you for watching Diligent Canine, and remember to support military and working dogs by subscribing on patreon.com/diligentcanine.